The stars twinkled silently in the vast darkness of space as humanity faced its greatest challenge. Earth's most advanced sensor arrays had detected the approaching alien fleet 3 days ago, but now they could see them with their own eyes. The massive vessels of the Galactic Empire stretched across space like a sea of metal, their hulls gleaming under the distant sunlight. Admiral Daho Park maintained his composure as he studied the holographic display on the bridge of the ESS Defender. His weathered hands gripped the railing tightly, knuckles white with tension. 40 years of military service had prepared him for many things, but this moment felt different. The alien ships were beyond anything in humanity's experience, each one large enough to dwarf an aircraft carrier. Status report. He called out to his bridge crew, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Sir, we're counting over 300 vessels in their formation," reported Officer Yunhee Ryu from her station. "Their energy readings are off the charts. One of their battleships could probably power all of North America for a year." Park nodded grimly. The aliens clearly wanted to make an impression, and they had succeeded. But humanity had a few surprises of their own. Lieutenant Jisoo Kim's voice cut through the tense atmosphere. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Television, radio, internet. They want everyone to hear this." "Put it through," Park ordered, straightening his uniform. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that made several bridge officers gasp. The Empire's ambassador stood nearly 8 feet tall, with metallic silver skin that seemed to ripple like liquid mercury. His eyes glowed with an inner light, and when he spoke, his voice carried an otherworldly resonance. "People of Earth," the being announced, "I am High Commander Lex of the Galactic Empire. Your civilization has been monitored for centuries, and now you have been chosen for integration into our grand empire. Surrender peacefully, and your transition will be smooth. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate our power in ways you cannot imagine." In the UN Security Council chamber in New York, Secretary General Han Bin-Lee sat in emergency session with world leaders. The room buzzed with nervous energy as they watched the transmission on multiple screens. "They certainly know how to make an entrance," the British Prime Minister muttered. Lee's face remained impassive. For 20 years, he had been one of 12 people who knew humanity's greatest secret. Under the guise of scientific research stations, Earth had built a military force that would shock their would-be conquerors. "Ladies and gentlemen," Lee addressed the council, "Protocol Omega is now in effect. All in favor." The vote was unanimous. Humanity would not bow down. Lee picked up his secure phone and spoke 6 words that would change history. "Send our response. Launch the fleet." Deep beneath the lunar surface, massive doors began to slide open. Similar activities occurred in hidden bases on Mars and in asteroid belts throughout the solar system. In underground facilities on Earth, soldiers and crews who had trained in secret for years rushed to their posts. On the ESS Defender, Admiral Park received the confirmation code he had waited decades to see. A small smile crossed his face as he turned to his crew. "Sound battle stations," he ordered, "and patch me through to all Earth forces." As klaxons blared throughout the ship, Park took a deep breath. The Empire thought they were dealing with a primitive species that would roll over at the first sign of superior force. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. "All hands," his voice echoed through every human military vessel in the solar system. "This is Admiral Park. For generations, we have prepared in secret for this day. The enemy believes they face a helpless planet. Let's show them what humanity can really do." Across the solar system, hidden doors opened. Stealth fields dropped, and humanity's real fleet revealed itself to the astonished eyes of the Galactic Empire. The war for Earth's independence was about to begin, and humanity had no intention of surrendering. Red dust swirled around the massive doors as they slowly parted beneath the Martian surface. Colonel Sun Mi Kang stood at the main control center of Base Olympus, watching through reinforced windows as centuries of secrecy came to an end. Her heart raced with pride and anticipation as the underground hangar revealed its treasures, row after row of gleaming warships, each one a testament to human ingenuity and determination. "Status report on all vessels," she commanded, her voice carrying across the bustling control room. "All ships showing green, Colonel," responded Captain Min Ho Ba from his station. "Reactor cores stable, weapons systems primed, and stealth systems functioning at optimal levels." The sight before them was breathtaking. Hundreds of warships filled the enormous cavern, their sleek hulls coated with advanced stealth materials that absorbed light and radar. Each vessel represented the pinnacle of human military technology, developed in absolute secrecy over 5 decades. "Begin primary launch sequence," Kang ordered. "Release docking clamps and initiate power-up procedures." The cavern came alive with activity. Warning lights flashed as massive mechanical arms retracted from the ships. The low hum of charging engines filled the air, building to a deep resonance that made the ground vibrate beneath their feet. At Mission Control in Houston, Director Tadawon Cho monitored the synchronized deployment from Earth. Multiple holographic displays showed similar scenes playing out across the solar system. Hidden bases on the Moon, Mars, and various asteroids all springing to life simultaneously. "Sir, the Empire's fleet is showing signs of confusion," reported his tactical officer. "Their sensors are picking up massive energy signatures from locations they believe to be uninhabited." Cho allowed himself a small smile. 50 years of deception about to pay off. "What's their reaction?" "Their formation is breaking up, sir. They're trying to reposition to face multiple threats, but they didn't expect this many vectors of attack." Back on Mars, Colonel Kang gave the final command. "All ships, launch sequence authorized. Show these aliens what humanity has been hiding." The first wave of warships rose majestically from their underground berths. Their anti-gravity engines, reverse-engineered from crashed alien tech decades ago, allowed them to hover silently before accelerating upward through the massive shaft leading to the surface. Ship after ship emerged from hiding, their hulls catching the dim Martian sunlight. The ESS Thunderchill led the Mars fleet, its massive form dwarfing the support vessels around it. Similar scenes played out across the solar system as humanity's hidden strength revealed itself. On the lunar surface, another fleet rose from the depths of the Shackleton crater base. The ships emerged like ghosts through the moon's natural camouflage systems, their engines leaving trails of blue fire against the stark lunar landscape. In the asteroid belt, mobile bases that had masqueraded as mining operations for years suddenly transformed, revealing sophisticated military installations and dozens of attack craft. Director Cho watched the tactical display as hundreds of friendly signatures appeared, forming a complex web around the Empire's position. The alien fleet's neat formation had dissolved into chaos as they tried to respond to threats appearing from all directions. "Send word to Admiral Park," Cho ordered. "The hidden fleet is deployed and ready for combat operations." On the command deck of Base Olympus, Colonel Kang received confirmation that all ships were successfully launched. She turned to her second-in-command. "Prepare my shuttle. I'm transferring to the Thunderchild." As her shuttle lifted off, Kang looked back at the base that had been her home for the past 5 years. The massive doors were already closing, hiding any evidence of what lay beneath. Mars once again appeared to be nothing more than a red desert. The Empire had expected to find a primitive species barely capable of interplanetary travel. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by a force that had spent half a century preparing for this exact moment. Humanity's deception had been perfect. While officially struggling with basic spaceflight, they had secretly built and trained a fleet that could challenge the Empire's supremacy. As Colonel Kang's shuttle docked with the Thunderchild, she received the first reports of the Empire's reaction. Their communications were filled with confusion and disbelief. Their carefully planned subjugation had turned into a potential disaster. "All ships, maintain formation," she broadcasted to her fleet. "Today we show the galaxy that humanity will never bow to tyranny. Today we fight for Earth." The hidden fleet was hidden no more. and the Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. Space erupted in a dazzling display of weapons fire as Earth's fleet engaged the Empire's forces. The Imperial flagship shuddered under another precise volley of plasma torpedoes, its shields flickering dangerously. Inside the massive vessel, High Commander Lex grabbed his command chair to steady himself as the deck plates vibrated beneath his feet. "Impossible," he snarled, his metallic skin rippling with rage. "Their technology shouldn't be this advanced. How are they piercing our shields?" His bridge crew worked frantically at their stations, trying to counter the relentless assault from ships that, according to all Imperial intelligence, shouldn't even exist. Another impact rocked the flagship, and warning klaxons blared throughout the vessel. "My lord, we've lost shields in sectors 3 through 7, reported his tactical officer, fear evident in his voice. "The humans are using some kind of phase-shifted energy weapons we've never encountered before." Aboard the ESS Thunder, Captain Jinna Yoon watched with satisfaction as her ship's weapons found their mark. Her vessel danced through space, executing maneuvers that the larger, more cumbersome Imperial ships couldn't match. Years of secret training were paying off. Her crew moved like a well-oiled machine, anticipating orders before they were given. "Helm, execute attack pattern Delta 6, she commanded. "Engineering, divert additional power to forward weapons arrays." The Thunder rolled gracefully between two Imperial cruisers, its weapons blazing. The human ship was smaller than its opponents, but its advanced technology and highly trained crew more than made up for the size difference. Both Imperial vessels struggled to track the faster, more agile Earth ship. "Ma'am, the flagship's shields are weakening," reported Lieutenant Min Seo Park from Tactical. "Their power signature is fluctuating." Yoon leaned forward in her command chair, her eyes narrowing. "Now's our chance. All forward batteries, target their command ship. Show these aliens why Earth doesn't surrender." The Thunder's main guns charged up, drawing on power from its advanced fusion reactor. The weapon systems, developed in secret over decades, represented technology that the Empire had believed was centuries beyond human capability. On the Imperial flagship, High Commander Lex watched in growing horror as his fleet's formation crumbled. The humans weren't fighting according to any known tactical doctrine. Their ships moved in unpredictable patterns, striking from multiple angles and vanishing before effective counterfire could be launched. "Order the fleet to tighten formation," he commanded. "Concentrate all fire on their largest vessels." But the order came too late. Earth's ships had already divided the Imperial fleet into isolated groups, picking them apart with surgical precision. The human smaller vessels demonstrated maneuverability that should have been physically impossible. Captain Yoon coordinated with other Earth vessels, herding the Imperial ships into kill zones where their superior numbers became a disadvantage. The Empire's rigid command structure worked against them. Their ships couldn't adapt quickly enough to the humans' fluid tactics. "Their flagship is making a run for it," announced Park. "They're trying to reach the hyperspace jump point." Yoon's response was immediate. "Not today. All ships in Attack Group 3, cut off their escape route. The Thunder will leave the assault on their engines." Her ship accelerated, pushing its advanced drives to their limits. The crew felt the increased G-forces even through the inertial dampeners as they closed the distance to their target. The Thunder's weapons opened up again, this time targeting specific points on the Imperial flagship's massive hull. Inside his ship, High Commander Lex received the damage reports with increasing despair. These humans weren't just fighting back, they were winning. His mighty fleet, which had subjugated dozens of alien civilizations, was being systematically taken apart by a species that wasn't supposed to have mastered basic spaceflight. "My lord," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving similar reports from all sectors. Earth forces are emerging from hidden bases throughout their system. They're engaging our fleet at multiple points." Another hit rocked the flagship, more violent than the previous ones. Emergency lighting kicked in as main power fluctuated. Lex could hear the groaning of stressed metal throughout his ship's structure. "Engineering reports critical damage to the main drive. announced his second-in-command. "We've lost hyperspace capability." On the Thunder's bridge, Captain Yoon allowed herself a small smile as she watched the Imperial flagship drift helplessly. Her crew had trained for this moment for years, practicing these exact maneuvers countless times in simulation. "Open a channel to the Imperial flagship," she ordered. "Let's see if they're ready to reconsider their demand for our surrender." The Empire's response would have to wait, however, as a new wave of Earth ships emerged from stealth mode, surrounding the remaining Imperial vessels. The message was clear. Humanity had been preparing for this day for a very long time, and they were far from finished. The massive holographic display in Lunar Command lit up like a Christmas tree as hundreds of human warships jumped into Imperial space. General Sung Ho Choi stood at the center of the command center, his experienced eyes tracking the movement of both friendly and enemy forces across multiple star systems. The initial defense of Earth had been successful. Now it was time to take the fight to the enemy. "Status report on Battle Group 7, he commanded, his voice carrying across the busy command floor. "Battle Group 7 has successfully disabled the Imperial defense stations in the Proxima system," reported Colonel Dae-hee Kim. "Minimal casualties on our side. The Empire's response times are getting slower." Choi nodded with satisfaction. The Empire's rigid military doctrine was proving to be their greatest weakness. They expected enemies to fight conventional battles, to follow established rules of engagement. Instead, humanity's ships struck from unexpected vectors, disabled key targets, and vanished before the enemy could mount an effective response. "Sir, we're receiving a priority transmission from the colony world New Haven," announced Lieutenant Ji-Won Lee from the communications station. "It's encoded using one of our old diplomatic ciphers." The general's eyebrows rose slightly. New Haven was one of the Empire's oldest colony worlds, supposedly loyal to the core. "Put it through to my private terminal." The face that appeared on his screen belonged to Governor Minji Park of New Haven. Her expression was a mixture of hope and anxiety as she spoke in hurried tones. "General Choi, I represent a growing number of colony worlds who have watched your victories against the Empire with great interest. We've suffered under their rule for generations. My people are ready to help Earth's forces, and we have valuable intelligence about Imperial military movements." This was an unexpected development, but not an unwelcome one. Choi had hoped that some of the Empire's subjects might see Earth's resistance as an opportunity. "Connect me with Admiral Park on the Defender," he ordered, "and get me detailed scans of the New Haven system's defenses." As his staff rushed to comply, Choi watched the tactical display update with new information. Earth's ships were moving in coordinated groups, striking critical Imperial infrastructure and disappearing before reinforcements could arrive. The Empire's commanders were trying to predict where the humans would strike next, but humanity's tactics defied conventional military logic. Battle Group 3, led by the ESS Thunder, emerged from FTL travel near an Imperial fuel depot. Captain Yoon's ships launched their attack immediately, their advanced weapons tearing through the station's defenses. By the time Imperial reinforcements arrived, the human ships had already destroyed their target and jumped to their next objective. "General," called out Colonel Kim, "Battle Groups 2 and 4 report mission success. Imperial shipyards in both target systems have been neutralized." The Empire's response to these attacks was becoming increasingly desperate. They were moving their remaining ships into defensive formations around their core worlds, leaving their outer territories vulnerable. This was exactly what Choi had hoped for. In her office on New Haven, Governor Park was already mobilizing her underground resistance network. Years of resentment against Imperial rule had created a web of dissidents ready to act. As she watched Earth's ships strike another Imperial target, she felt something she hadn't experienced in years: hope. Back in Lunar Command, General Choi received confirmation that other colony worlds were following New Haven's example. The Empire's iron grip on its territories was beginning to slip. "Sir, Admiral Park has approved Operation Starburst," announced Colonel Kim. "All battle groups are moving into position." Choi allowed himself a small smile. Operation Starburst would demonstrate the full capability of Earth's fleet. While the Empire concentrated on defending their core worlds, humanity would liberate their oppressed colonies one by one. Send word to all battle groups, he ordered. Operation Starburst begins in 30 minutes, and open a secure channel to Governor Park. It's time to coordinate our next moves. The holographic display updated again, showing Earth's ships moving into attack positions near multiple Imperial systems. The Empire had thought humanity would be an easy conquest. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, one that had spent decades preparing for this moment. As General Choi watched his forces prepare for their next offensive, he thought about how far humanity had come. From a supposedly primitive civilization to a force that was systematically dismantling the greatest empire in known space. The coming battles would be difficult, but Earth's forces had surprise, superior tactics, and now, allies among the Empire's own subjects. The counterattack was only beginning, and humanity was about to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. The void of space lit up as hundreds of Imperial warships tore through the fabric of reality. The Cardinal Fleet, pride of the Empire's military might, emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. Their massive vessels dwarfed even the largest ships that had participated in the initial invasion of Earth. At their head was the Imperial dreadnought Eternal Glory, personal flagship of Grand Admiral Rex. On the bridge of his enormous vessel, Rex stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his chrome-plated armor reflecting the light of nearby stars. "So these are the troublesome humans," he said, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of command experience. "Show me what our forward scouts have found." The tactical display lit up, showing the movements of Earth's fleet. The humans had scattered their forces across several star systems, refusing to mass for a traditional battle. This had frustrated every Imperial commander who had faced them so far. "Their ships are faster than ours, Admiral," his tactical officer reported. "But the Cardinal Fleet's weapons have twice the range and power of our regular forces. They cannot hide forever." Aboard the ESS Defender, Admiral Daho Park received word of the Cardinal Fleet's arrival with calm determination. He had expected this. The Empire wouldn't accept defeat without committing their elite forces. "All ships, implement Operation Thunderstorm," he commanded. "Battle Groups 3 through 7, begin your attack runs. Remember your training. Hit and fade. Don't let them bring their superior firepower to bear." Earth's ships moved like schools of fish, breaking into smaller groups and darting between asteroid fields and planetary bodies. The Cardinal Fleet's massive ships tried to track them, but their size made rapid course corrections difficult. "Impressive," Grand Admiral Rex admitted as he watched another squadron of his ships fail to corner the humans. "They fight like pack hunters, not soldiers, but they cannot run forever." The Cardinal Fleet's advanced weapons reached out across space, their energy beams capable of vaporizing smaller ships with a single hit, but hitting the agile Earth vessels proved nearly impossible. Human ships used gravity wells and asteroid fields for cover, emerging only to strike at vulnerable points before disappearing again. "They expect us to fight like them," Admiral Park told his fleet commanders during a brief tactical update. "They want us to line up our ships and trade broadsides like some ancient naval battle. We won't give them that satisfaction." The battle spread across an entire star system. Earth's ships struck from all directions, their advanced ECM systems confusing Imperial targeting computers. When the Cardinal Fleet's heavy weapons finally found their range, they often hit decoy drones instead of actual ships. "Sir," Park's tactical officer called out, "the Cardinal Fleet is splitting up to chase our battle groups. They're leaving gaps in their formation." Park smiled. This was exactly what he had hoped for. "Signal Battle Group 1. Execute Attack Pattern Omega." The ESS Defender led a concentrated strike against the Cardinal Fleet's now exposed center. Earth's ships emerged from hiding places throughout the system, converging on their target with precision timing. Grand Admiral Rex realized the trap too late. "Reform the fleet," he ordered, but his massive ships were too slow to respond quickly enough. Earth's vessels slipped through the gaps in his formation, their weapons targeting specific weak points that human intelligence had identified. "Admiral," his bridge crew reported in growing panic. "We're taking hits from multiple vectors. Our screening ships can't track them all." The battle turned into chaos as Earth's faster ships danced between the Imperial vessels. The Cardinal fleet's superior firepower meant nothing if they couldn't bring their weapons to bear effectively. Their rigid formation, once their strength, had become a weakness that the humans exploited mercilessly. "The humans don't just defeat our ships," one general observed during a crisis meeting. "They show our subjects a different way to live. How can we fight an enemy that turns our own people against us?" Back on the ESS Liberty, Commander Kwan received word that 5 more worlds were preparing to declare independence. Earth's fleet, now bolstered by ships from liberated colonies, prepared to support their bid for freedom. The Empire thought they could simply absorb Earth into their territory, she told her crew during a brief rest period. "Instead, we're showing the galaxy that freedom is stronger than tyranny." As the revolution spread, the Empire's rigid command structure proved to be its greatest weakness. Unable to adapt to the rapidly changing situation, Imperial forces found themselves fighting a losing battle on multiple fronts. High Commander Lex watched helplessly as another status report showed more systems turning against him. His perfect empire, built on absolute obedience and overwhelming force, was being dismantled not just by Earth's military might, but by the idea of freedom itself. Commander Kwan's task force prepared for another jump to support the latest uprising. The revolution was far from over, but its success now seemed inevitable. Earth had not only preserved its own freedom, it had become a beacon of hope for oppressed worlds throughout the galaxy. "All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump," she ordered. "Let's show another world what freedom looks like." The Imperial capital world hung like a jewel in space, its orbital rings glittering with defense platforms and warships. This was where the Empire had been born millennia ago, and this was where it would make its final stand. The combined fleet of Earth and its liberated allies gathered at the edge of the system, the largest assemblage of warships the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral Daho Park stood on the bridge of the ESS Defender, his weathered face reflecting the glow of tactical displays. Ships from 30 different worlds had joined Earth's fleet for this final battle. Each one represented a people who had chosen freedom over tyranny. "All ships report ready, Admiral," announced Captain Jin Yun, who had been promoted after her victories against the Cardinal fleet. "The colonial vessels have taken their positions." The Empire's remaining loyal forces formed a defensive wall around their capital. Their formation was perfect, just as their training demanded. But Park had learned long ago that perfection could be a weakness. "Begin the attack," he ordered quietly. "All ships, execute final protocol." The battle that followed would be studied in military academies for centuries to come. Earth's ships led the assault, using the tactics that had won them victory after victory. The liberated world's vessels followed their example, striking from multiple vectors, refusing to engage in the traditional battle lines the Empire expected. High Commander Lex watched from his palace as his defensive fleet began to crumble. His own officers had turned against him, tired of watching their forces be defeated by superior tactics and leadership. "Your rule is over," his Grand Admiral told him as security forces entered the throne room. "The Empire as we knew it is finished." Above the capital, Admiral Park coordinated the final push. The Empire's defensive line collapsed under the combined assault. Ships that had once enforced Imperial rule now turned their weapons on their former masters. "The palace has fallen," reported his communications officer. "High Commander Lex is in custody. His officers are ordering all remaining Imperial forces to stand down." A silence fell over the bridge of the Defender. After months of fighting, it seemed almost anticlimactic, but Park knew this wasn't really the end. It was a beginning. 2 weeks later, representatives from Earth and 30 former Imperial worlds gathered in the palace's Grand Hall. Secretary-General Han Bin Lee stood at the podium where Imperial edicts had once been issued, preparing to sign a very different kind of document. The Galactic Alliance Charter represents a new way forward, he declared to the assembled delegates. Not an empire ruled by force, but a federation of free worlds working together for the common good. One by one, the representatives came forward to sign. Each signature represented a world that had chosen to join this new alliance. Earth, the youngest spacefaring civilization present, had somehow become the leader they all looked to. "We didn't want this war," Lee continued in his historic speech. "When the Empire came to Earth, we sought only to defend ourselves. But we discovered that freedom is not just worth fighting for, it's worth sharing. Now, we stand ready to defend that freedom for all." Admiral Park, watching from the audience, thought about how far they had come. From a single planet facing subjugation to the founders of a new galactic order, the Empire had expected to find a primitive species ready for conquest. Instead, they had awakened humanity's greatest strengths: innovation, adaptability, and an unshakable determination to remain free. In orbit, ships from dozens of worlds patrolled together, their crews learning from each other. The rigid traditions of Imperial service were being replaced by Earth's more flexible, innovative approach to space warfare. "The galaxy will never be the same," Lee concluded his speech, "and we will never forget the lesson we learned, that the strength of a civilization lies not in its ability to dominate others, but in its willingness to fight for freedom, not just for itself, but for all." As the delegates celebrated the birth of the Galactic Alliance, news of the change spread across the stars. The Empire, which had seemed eternal, was gone. In its place stood something new, an alliance of free worlds, led by the very planet that had dared to say no to imperial rule. The galaxy would indeed never underestimate humanity again, but more importantly, it would never forget how a single planet's refusal to surrender had given hope to billions and changed the course of history forever.